Selamat siang untuk sahabat semua dimanapun Anda berada. Jumpa lagi dengan saya. Kali ini saya jalan-jalan kembali di cuaca yang cukup cerah. Dan saya berada di pinggir air, yaitu di depan Stadhuset atau Stockholm City Hall. Ikuti perjalanan saya pada hari ini untuk melihat-lihat keadaan di cuaca yang cerah ini, bagaimana keadaan sekeliling di daerah sini. Yuk ikut saya jalan-jalan, mau masuk ke dalamnya. Dan perlu saya informasikan, di tempat ini pula setiap bulan Desember yang suka diadakan perayaan atau pesta setelah pembagian piala Nobel. Yuk, ikuti perjalanan saya kali ini. Terlihat banyak orang di depan saya yang sama-sama menikmati cuaca yang cukup cerah. Dan kebanyakan orang-orang yang berkunjung ke sini itu yang banyak yang berfotoria juga. Mereka adalah turis-turis dari atau pelancong dari negara-negara sekitar atau dari Eropa. Tidak tahu, banyak sekali ya. Sekarang sudah mulai banyak lagi turis untuk masuk di Swedia atau kota Stockholm.
Bit about the building, yeah? Have you ever been here before? Is it the first time for everybody? Yes? I see. So first, just a bit of history about the building. It's almost 100 years old. Not quite. We will be turning 100 in only 2 years. This building was opened on Midsummer's Eve 1923. So on Midsummer of 2023 we'll have big festivities. This is actually part of the reason why we have all the construction going on in the blue hall that you'll see. They are removing the scaffolding after replacing the ceiling that was almost 100 years old, and they thought, well, we need to keep it in great condition for the big jubilee of 2023, so they actually made sure to renovate that before this big jubilee. So 100 years ago, what they did was a new city hall. Before this, there was no city hall of Stockholm. But the administration of the city and the politicians, they needed somewhere to have their meetings. They needed somewhere to administrate the city. And what they did was they were renting rooms in the old town. But in the end, they decided to do something of their own, and they wanted it to be both political. So it is a political office building with offices and meeting rooms, but it's also representative, with big banquet halls used for representation, banquets, events. Different kinds of festivities are hosted here in the city hall. So we'll see both ones on top, but also smaller ones in all the corners. So you have all these towers making it feel a lot like some kind of old fortress. And making it a symbol for Stockholm, he brought in a lot of things. So just take a look at it. I will tell you more about it in another room, okay? So this way, please.
Sekarang saya ada di Stadhuset di dalamnya. Kebetulan ini ada guiding. Saya bersama guide yang khusus dari bangunan ini ya. Mungkin saya tidak banyak bicara, tinggal dengarkan saja apa penjelasan dari guide yang saya ikuti di sini. Yuk.
banquet hall. It's 1,500 square meters. That's where we have all the banquets of that size. You can host up to 1,200 people in the Blue Hall. So lots of big banquets take place there. During the Nobel banquet, that hall is completely filled with people. You have the Nobel laureates and the royal family sitting in the center, and all the other guests surrounding them. Most guests use the same doors that we use, but the guests of honor have another entrance, and all the other guests are waiting for the guests of honor, and they come in through their separate entrance, and they go down the staircase with everybody looking at them. So that's something you can look out for the next Nobel banquet. Of course, we haven't had one in a while, because for 2020 it was cancelled, just like everything else. So there was no Nobel banquet of 2020, there was just a small televised ceremony from the Golden Hall. But no guests, no audience, so that was cancelled as well. But the Blue Hall, don't know if you noticed, but it was not blue. It is only called the Blue Hall. And this has to do with this theme of water that I was telling you about in the courtyard. The water was so important to the architect that he wanted to make it a part of the decoration in every room. And the Blue Hall should have been a blue hall. That was the first plan, to just make it blue. But he actually decided that the bricks in there, they were too beautiful to cover up, and decided to keep them the way it was. By then, too late to change the name. People were already saying the Blue Hall is used for meetings. This is the chamber of the city council, and they need better acoustics. So in here we have 101 politicians. They each get their own seat. You can see who they are, what party they belong to is in a parenthesis. You have their voting equipment. Right now we have 9 different parties represented on the council. When they moved in here in 1921, the building wasn't even finished yet. It was finished in 1923, but they made sure to finish this room first because they really needed the space. So they have had their meetings here for 100 years. All these meetings take place every 3rd Monday in the afternoons. Not all these politicians working full time. Most have other jobs as well. They only come here for the actual meetings. But we have a few politicians who do work full time for the city of Stockholm. That's the president of the council sitting up there. You also have the 2 vice presidents sitting on the side. And you have the mayor of Stockholm, she works full time as well. And the vice mayors work full time as well. They line up here and they go in a procession downstairs to the Blue Hall. We also use this part of the building every Saturday. We have civil wedding ceremonies in the City Hall every Saturday between 12 and 8 o'clock. We have up to 500 couples getting married here every Saturday. But this true calling in life was painting. And we spent his life doing both. So he both fulfilled his royal duties and painted. It was a very important part of Stockholm art life in this period. This also meant he was friends with the architect. mosaic like this, they use a very thin layer of gold. It's like gold leaf. So you have 2 layers of glass coating a very thin layer of gold, and then you melt these 3 layers, you fuse them together. That's how you create these pieces of mosaic. But we have around 18 million pieces of mosaic in here, so we still have quite a lot of it. The artist who designed everything in here, his name was Einar Forseth. He was only 28 when he got this job, but he was specialized in mosaic and in glass painting. He had studied in Italy, so he really knew how to work mosaic, and that was what they needed, because they had decided on doing a big golden mosaic room. The architect had dreamt about doing a golden room, and they realized that mosaic was the best way to do that. So they had to find an expert on mosaic, and found young Einar Forseth. They also got a great price for the mosaic, because they bought it from a German mosaic company. Remember the city called mosaic between 1911 and 1923, which is a very eventful period of time. For example, you have the First World War happening right between the start and the end of the Second World Project. And that meant that the German currency was very low right after the First World War. And the factories traveling around to the ones ordering. So what they did was they gave Sweden a great prize for this golden mosaic. Sweden, she did not want to get married. She wanted a different type of life. And she decided to move to Rome, become a Catholic. Sweden was Protestant at the time, so it's quite a scandal in its age. Yeah? And she is received here by the Pope, and she lived out her life in Rome. She left Rome to her cousin instead. So one very dramatic event of Swedish history when Queen moved out here. She has never existed. She's only a symbol. She's a symbol for Stockholm. In a lot of old parts of Stockholm is referred to as the Queen of Village, the Queen of Construction. And to remove this, they have like scattering out from the floor to the ceiling during all summer. So this is actually the first day when we're able to see it at all. So even though it was noisy, I think you're actually in luck as well. As you can see, it is a massive hall, about 1,500 square meters. You have to imagine one very long table in the center. That would be the table of honor for the Nobel laureate. It's going to have a wall for the staircase. And then we have smaller tables on every side, standing in the other direction for all the other guests. And when the guests of honor come in, all the other guests are sitting there and looking up at the balcony, because this is where the procession comes in. So this is where they all go downstairs to the dinner, all the Nobel laureates and the other comers. And they go down this staircase, perfectly designed for before you leave. The exit is over in the right-hand corner. It's through the gift shop. But when you are inside the shop, you can't come back in. So if you need to use the restrooms, do so before you go out into the shop. For ladies, it's straight ahead, and gentlemen, it's just to the right. And don't forget anything you might have left in the cloakroom. And your stickers, the tickets, please remove them. We have boards where you can place them on the door to the shop. Otherwise, they end up all over the city.